Hello there. Welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast with Denise Alvarez. I'm so glad you're here with me today. So, as you've likely guessed, my name is Denise Alvarez. And just in case we're new friends, I'll tell you just a bit about myself, and then we will jump into a conversation on advertising for your horse business. But first, just a bit about me. So, my business, Storm Lily Marketing, is where I get to help horse business owners like you convert your website visitors into your customers. And I do that in a variety of ways, whether it is through coaching or website design or website content, email marketing strategy, and my new Social Stride membership. But here's the thing, I do it all because I want to help you be out doing more of what you really love to do. I know that marketing is not everybody's favorite, or it just may be that you enjoy it, but you don't have time and you would like to be doing more of some of the other things. And so that's why I have my business, and that's why I have this podcast, because I want to help you with a mix of step-by-step strategies and basic how-tos so that you can see what's possible when you market your horse business, and also so that I can help guide you through that process to make it happen. And so today, that's what we are doing here on the podcast, because we are talking specifically about advertising. So let's say that you've got your branding down. You've got a website up and ready and you really love it. You've even got your freebie all set up, and now you're ready to advertise. You want people to know that you're there. So what's next, right? How do you know where to go? How much is reasonable for you to budget? What does it look like to advertise for your horse business? Now, these are all really, really good questions, but I have some more questions that I want you to answer first. Before you actually start paying for your ads, I have just a little bit of homework that's going to help you to get the most from your advertising efforts, because I want you to be able to see a return on what you are investing. And so in order to do that, I've put together 3 questions that I want you to consider before you advertise your horse business. Not because I'm saying you shouldn't, but before you get into that, I think you should have the answers to these questions so that your advertising is more impactful and you see that return that you're looking for. And it's going to help you because you're most likely working with a designer, right? Or having somebody design this ad. So they're a designer, whatever the case may be. And you're going to be working with the publication or the editor or whatever the case may be. And they're going to ask you some questions. And so the questions I have here for you are going to prepare you for that. So let's dive into 3 questions to ask when you are deciding where to advertise for your horse business. Number 1, the most important question I want you to ask is, who is my audience and where are they? I know it was kind of a 2-for-1, right? But I want you to figure out the demographics, meaning what's their gender? What's their age? Where are they living? What are their interests? What is the specific breed that you may be looking to advertise? What about a specific discipline? Now, as I say that, I know that your business may be one that serves several breeds. It may be one that serves several disciplines, but I want you to write each of those out, because that's going to help you narrow down where you should spend your advertising dollars. So it's okay if you serve more than one discipline, but I want you to take time to write out each one so that you have a good picture of that. Okay? Because advertising without figuring out who you are talking to first is like throwing spaghetti on a wall to see what sticks. It's really not a good use of your valuable resources or your precious time. Okay, so it's really important, I promise. And now hopefully you've done a lot of this homework when you were doing your website. So this shouldn't be too much work. You should have the answers to these questions, but they are very important. So after you figure out who it is you're talking to, who do you want to reach through your advertising, I want you to actually talk to them. Ask them, where is it they get their information? What are some of their favorite industry publications? What emails do they read on a regular basis? What things do they pay attention to on Facebook or on Instagram or on YouTube, wherever it is they're hanging out? What do they like to read? What subscriptions do they have? What actually gets delivered to their house that they take the time to read? Because there's no need for you to just guess or assume. right? We've all heard that you should go straight to the horse's mouth, and that's the case here. I want you to go where people are already hanging out that you want to reach. Now, in addition to talking to your audience, most publications are going to have an advertising or a media kit that will break down their audience. And so from that, you can confirm if that's where you want to be. But if you don't have the answer to this question or these questions ahead of time, when you look at that advertising kit and you look at that media kit, you're not going to be making a truly informed decision because you need to be able to compare that to who it is that you're trying to reach. And if they match up, then bingo, you have a fit, right? Okay, so question number 1 is who is your audience and where are they? And question number 2, I want you to consider as you are preparing to advertise your horse business is what is your objective? What is the goal of this particular ad? Are you simply looking to create awareness for your business? And if so, that's okay. Are you advertising a particular stud and you're wanting to get appointments set up? That's going to drive the design of your ad, right? Maybe you're selling a product and you're looking to drive traffic to your website. Or are you looking for actual conversions like you would get from a Facebook ad where they click to buy? Or perhaps your purpose of this ad or this advertising effort is goodwill. Maybe your purpose is to support the local saddle club, the local 4-H. That's great too. I just want you to know, I want you to go in with a clear goal in mind. That way you know exactly where you're spending your advertising dollars and what you want to come of that. And as I mentioned, when you know the goal of your advertising, then it's going to drive the design of the ad. If you're looking to create awareness, that ad is going to look different than if you're trying to advertise a particular stud and you're wanting appointments set up. You're wanting to fill up that booking. Or maybe you have training openings and you're wanting to fill up that calendar. Or you have a clinic you're wanting to advertise and you want to sell that out. Whatever the case may be, knowing your goal ahead of time is going to drive the design. It's going to drive the content and the copy of that ad. Now, so often horse businesses will say yes to an ad and they will have somebody just throw something together, but they don't provide any real guidance as to what they want, right? They just say, hey, I need this. Here are some pictures. Here's my phone number. Here's a website. But they don't give much more direction. Now, they might get something that's really pretty, but is that going to help them accomplish their goals? Well, they don't know because they didn't communicate those ahead of time. So I want you to stop and really evaluate. And of course, your goal may be different for each ad, right? So you may have one ad that has a certain goal, and then you may have another ad that has another goal. Totally fine and acceptable. Just know ahead of time what those are. Okay, question number 3. The third question is to consider ahead of time, what is your budget? Now, I get that that seems obvious, but sometimes the most obvious thing is what we overlook. We start to get on the phone, we start spending money here and there, and then we turn around and realize, holy cow, I spent a few $1,000s and I don't even know if I got that money back. So I want you to consider ahead of time what your budget is, and maybe you budget different things for different efforts. So maybe you have, this is my advertising budget for the year, and I'm going to do 5 to 10% just awareness. I'm going to do 5 to 10% on this specific ad. I'm going to do 50% of my advertising dollars on this main thing because I really want to focus on that this year. So think about not just your budget for that one ad, but think about for the year. What does that look like to have an advertising budget and to be intentional with how you break it down? Now, I will also say that as you're doing that, you want to think about what a return looks like, going back to that idea of the goal, because the return may not always be immediately financial. So you just need to be aware of that and consider if that's a goodwill investment for you, then you're okay, but you see that as an investment long-term in your business. Now, of course, again, you can split this up into different ways of advertising as well. Maybe you say this percentage of my advertising budget is digital. This percentage is local. This percentage is national. There are different ways that you can break it up. Just again, the idea is to think about that number ahead of time. And that way, when you get on the phone with somebody and they ask you, Well, what's your advertising budget? Then you know. And you don't just give that $1 amount you're expecting to spend for the whole year, but you say, okay, I'm on the phone with this person. They sell ads for this national publication. And I said I was going to spend this amount this year on that. So what can you get me? What kind of package can we put together, right? Okay, friends, so those are your 3 key questions that I want you to answer before you even start advertising your horse business. And again, this applies to businesses of all sizes, right? You may be advertising locally, you may be advertising nationally, and either way, you need to have the answers to these questions if you really want to get the most out of your advertising dollars. Now, of course, you can jump over to the show notes at stormlily.com/42. And I will have each of these questions listed there for you. Next week, come back because we are still talking advertising, but we're going to be talking about some specific ways and methods of advertising your horse business. Okay, so I hope you'll join me next week. But for now, consider these questions and prepare yourself for next week so that you will be ready to jump into advertising. And would you also let me know if you have other questions that I've not yet answered here on the podcast, whether it's advertising, whether it's marketing, or maybe you know somebody that you think, oh, this person is really rocking it in their business. I think you should have them on the podcast. Then let me know. I'm always open to interview suggestions as well. So you can jump over to stormlilymarketing.com, submit a contact form, and come straight to my email inbox. And then I would be happy to hear your questions or hear your ideas for future podcast interviews. All right. I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. I know that you have many things on your to-do list, and I'm very grateful that you've taken the time to listen to this podcast. I hope it's been helpful to you. And if it has been, please do share it. Please feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcast. And as always, I will see you again next week. Have an awesome day.